Navy's response to the complaints and the forced retirement of the unit's chief. An IRE certificate goes to Rachel Krantz, Charlie Foster, Lissa Soap, Ellen O'Leary, and Nishat Kurwa of Youth Radio, and Graham Smith, Chris Turpin, and Tom Bowman of NPR. In online, an IRE certificate goes to T. Christian Miller, Doug Smith, Pratap Chatterjee, Francine Orr, and Avni Patel of ProPublica, Los Angeles Times, and ABC News for Disposable Army. This series is remarkable for its depth and complexity in digging into the American government's shabby treatment of the contractors who were injured like soldiers but have had to battle for basic care and benefits, while the survivors of those who died have been left in poverty. The reporting team fought for 2 years to win access to the Labor Department's database of civilian contractors, combed through numerous court records, and interviewed 200 contractors. The reporting led to a congressional hearing and a systemic overhaul by the Labor Department and the Pentagon. An IRE certificate goes to T. Christian Miller, Doug Smith, Pratap Chatterjee, Francine Orr, and Avni Patel of ProPublica, Los Angeles Times, and ABC News. In student work, all media, an IRE certificate goes to Clark Merrifield, Rosaline Ortiz, Dan Macht, Joshua Sinelli, Matt Townsend, and Stephen Bronner of the New York City News Service, CUNY Graduate School of Journalism, for wrongful conviction, unequal compensation. In 26 states, if you are wrongfully convicted of a crime, you have the right to compensation for the time lost while incarcerated. Using open records requests and large document searches, the students built an array of databases that helped expose loopholes in the New York state law that keeps victims from getting what is due them. With great difficulty, they tracked these former prisoners, now on the fringes of society. An IRE certificate goes to Clark Merrifield, Rosalyn Ortiz, Dan Macht, Joshua Sinelli, Matt Townsend, and Stephen Bronner of the New York City News Service, CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. In a new category this year, Breaking News Investigations, All Media, an IRE certificate goes to John Diedrich, Gina Barton, Ben Poston, Ryan Haggerty, and Daniel Bice of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel for Holes in the System. 5 reporters from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel took the breaking news of the end of a 21-year hunt for a serial killer and turned it into a hunt of their own, a hunt to find the flaws in the Wisconsin criminal justice system that allowed Walter Ellis to kill a total of 7 women. The reporters uncovered missing and fake DNA evidence in state databases that could have helped convict Ellis sooner. They also discovered Ellis had been a federal informant for a bribery investigation, allowing him to manipulate the criminal justice system while continuing his killing spree. The investigation found that the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department had also failed to collect DNA samples from hundreds of felons in the Milwaukee area. An IRE certificate goes to John Diedrich, Gina Barton, Ben Poston, Ryan Haggerty, and Daniel Bice of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. In special categories, Tom Renner Award, an IRE medal goes to Shane Liddick of San Diego Magazine for Blood of Their Brothers, the Border Trilogy. Reporter Shane Liddick went alone into a place few of us would dare go, the heart of the illegal drug cartels operating across the border in Mexico. Once inside this crime syndicate, Liddick was able to reach key people throughout the cartel, as well as on the other side in law enforcement. Liddick chronicles his 5 years of work on this story in a gritty style that matches the gritty conditions in which he lived to do the reporting. Liddick's reporting dispels the stereotypes we have about corrupt Mexican cops and instead shows us a system at least partially populated by honest officers risking and losing their lives, Liddick's investigation helps us understand the complex power structure in play that's changing lives across all of Mexico. An IRE medal goes to Shane Liddick of San Diego Magazine. For freedom of information, an IRE medal goes to Heather Brooke, freelancer, for Your Right to Know. London-based freelancer Heather Brooke was frustrated. British public record laws kept the former U.S. journalist from reporting and writing a seemingly mundane story tracking politicians' expenses. Brooke was writing a book on the UK's then not-in-effect Freedom of Information Act when she was denied access to records of members of Parliament's expenses. She began filing FOIA requests January 1, 2005, the day the act took effect. Almost all of her requests were rejected, but she followed the requests through the appeals process that ended with a favorable ruling from the High Court of Justice, ultimately leading to the resignation of House of Commons Speaker Michael Martin, among others. An IRE medal goes to Heather Brooke for Your Right to Know. This year, there are two recipients of IRE's top honor. In largest newspapers, the IRE medal goes to Charles Duhigg, Matthew Block, Matt Erickson, Tyson Evans, Brian Hammond, Griff Palmer, Carl Russell, Derek Willis, Brent McDonald, and Zach Wise of the New York Times for Toxic Waters. Duhigg and a team of database experts and multimedia specialists pulled together an exhaustive amount of information on just how poor the government's record is when it comes to protecting the nation's water. The journalists found only a fractured collection of enforcement databases on the topic, so they built their own. They obtained records by sending out more than 500 FOIA requests to every state and more than a dozen federal agencies. The result? A sweeping indictment of the system. The series led to crackdowns, significant new environmental rules, and new appropriations for clean water projects. The IRE medal goes to Charles Duhigg, Matthew Block, Matt Erickson, Tyson Evans, Brian Hammond, Griff Palmer, Carl Russell, Derek Willis, Brent McDonald, and Zach Wise of the New York Times. In television, top 20 markets, the IRE medal goes to Mark Greenblatt, David Razik, Keith Tomsheet, Chris Hanau, Robin Hughes, and Keith Connors of KHOU-TV Houston for Under Fire, Discrimination and Corruption in the Texas National Guard. No system can be more impenetrable for a team of reporters than the Military Old Boys Network. That's exactly what reporters took on when they followed up on a tip to check out the Vagisil Award being given to women in the Texas National Guard. In some cases, female officers were being disciplined or even discharged despite exemplary service records.
Take Colonel Sue Heckinger. She was stationed at Ellington Field in Houston when she volunteered to serve her country in Iraq.
I was a wing commander in a wartime environment.
She helped lead America's air and troop movements there.
I was responsible for thousands of troops.
And for her service, received this Bronze Star.
We did the mission. We saved lives.
But when she returned to Ellington and the Texas Guard, a boss she had only met twice, Colonel Lanny McNeely, actually complained about her absence in this evaluation, saying she left the mission support group adrift during her long absence.
And what is the effect of that piece of paper on your career?
Oh, it was a career killer.
This 2-year investigation resulted in the governor of Texas firing 3 top generals and the state legislature changing the way it oversees Texas Guard operations. An IRE medal goes to Mark Greenblatt, David Razik, Keith Tomsheet, Chris Hanau, Robin Hughes, and Keith Connors of KHOU-TV.